Don't forget to smash that like button, leave a comment, and share this video with your friends who love stories. Click subscribe to join the Inquisco family for more compelling and authentic stories like this one. My situation was dire. I hadn't paid rent for 3 months. Every time his number appeared on my screen, my heart would skip a beat. My property owner, Mr. Harris. Previously, I'd never missed a payment, but circumstances had changed. I was in a desperate situation now. When I initially signed the lease, he barely registered in my mind. He maintained a professional demeanor, though perhaps a bit too formal. But recently, things had shifted noticeably. Each encounter seemed charged with tension. When our eyes met, his lingered a second too long. There was a distinct tenderness in his tone whenever he spoke my name. I tried dismissing these observations as imagination. Still, something inside me questioned that assumption. That night, someone knocked on my door. Without looking, I knew who it was. It had to be him. I hesitated briefly, knowing I couldn't avoid this confrontation. With reluctance, I opened up. "Hi," I managed, forcing a weak smile. There he was, leaning casually against the frame, arms folded. "Evening, Melissa." There it was again, my name spoken with such careful intention. "I know about the rent," I began. "I just need some more time." He exhaled slowly, nodding thoughtfully. "You've been repeating that for weeks." I inhaled deeply. "I know. I'm doing everything possible." His gaze traveled over me carefully. While not inappropriate, his look sent shivers down my spine. I was dressed casually in a tank top and shorts. Nothing special, yet somehow I felt completely exposed. "I don't want to force you out," he finally said, "but you need to give me something." His statement left me stunned, momentarily unable to speak. He meant payment, obviously. That's what he had to mean. But his delivery suggested something else entirely. I nervously bit my lip. "I haven't got it yet, but I'll work something out." His jaw clenched visibly. He shifted position, glancing briefly down the corridor before stepping inside. Close enough that I could feel his presence surrounding me. "I can be flexible with the timeline," he murmured, his voice barely audible. I should have moved away. I should have refused, but I remained frozen. His gaze dropped to my mouth momentarily. My breathing became shallow. This was dangerous territory. I was divorced now. He was still married, but something stirred inside me. A feeling of control I hadn't experienced in ages. The sensation of having options was both thrilling and deeply unsettling. He remained motionless. The space between us grew thick with tension, my pulse quickening beneath my skin. It felt like standing at the edge of a precipice, caught between excitement and fear. I knew that a single move could alter everything forever. His thoughts, once so transparent to me, now seemed clouded in mystery. "Are you certain you don't want me to help?" His words came out soft, intimate, far too personal for a conversation about late payments. His eyes had drifted downward, fixed on the diminishing space between us. What exactly do you mean by help?" I was stalling. The words tumbled out hastily, though I wasn't sure I wanted clarification. Heat crept up my neck, spreading across my chest like wildfire. He moved closer, and his scent enveloped me, just enough to be intoxicating. An earthy fragrance with hints of spice that I'd somehow never noticed before. "I could make things easier," he murmured, his voice barely audible. His hand rested on the doorframe, mere inches from my skin. That small distance felt simultaneously infinite and microscopic. I should have refused. I should have shut the door firmly and retreated to my kitchen's safety, where I could breathe again. but something held me there, caught in this magnetic moment. I don't understand, I managed to stammer, my voice barely a whisper. He leaned in closer still, his breath warm against my skin, and the atmosphere shifted palpably. Time seemed to stand still, and I realized with sudden clarity the mistake I'd made in opening that door. Melissa! My name on his lips again. This time it carried weight beyond a landlord's casual address. It was the voice of someone who saw through my carefully constructed walls, understanding things I wasn't ready to face, the kind of voice that made my insides flutter. I don't want to see you struggling, he continued, his gaze burning into mine with an intensity that scattered my thoughts. But I need some guarantee if I'm going to keep investing my time. There it was again. Certainty. The conversation had shifted far beyond rent payments. He was proposing something else entirely. I tried pushing the thought away, but it persisted. His hand moved almost imperceptibly, brushing against my arm. The touch was light, but it sent electricity coursing through my body. I attempted to step back, but my feet seemed anchored to the ground. I know I'm behind, I confessed, my voice barely audible, betraying my inner turmoil. I understand. I just need more time. But he wasn't listening anymore. His gaze was locked on my mouth, and suddenly everything felt intensely vivid. The thought kept circling in my mind. What if I just kissed him? What if I finally surrendered to this persistent ache in my chest? But I couldn't. I was married. He had a wife. This was absolute madness. I tried retreating, but he remained steadfast. Instead, he raised his hand, letting it hover near my face. Not touching, not yet, but close enough that I could sense the warmth emanating from his palm, as if waiting for me to make the choice for us both. Melissa, he whispered again, his tone dropping lower, gentler, like a secret meant only for me. I'm just asking for what you're willing to give. My heart thundered so violently, I thought it might burst. I wanted to look away, to move, to flee from this moment. But I remained paralyzed. His presence was consuming, and I feared any sudden movement would result in him pulling me closer. Don't make this complicated, he murmured, his hand finally settling on my arm. Not forceful or demanding, yet unmistakably there, solid, warm, and full of purpose. His thumb traced my skin, igniting something deep within my chest. The pressure built inside me, constricting tighter. I had so many words to say, to tell him to go, to pull away, to stop, but they remained trapped inside. My thoughts raced, completely consumed by the sensation of his touch. I started, but my voice cracked, and warmth flooded my cheeks. I'd never been good at saying no. Whether from uncertainty or the weight of others' desires, I always found myself being carried along, pushed forward. You don't need to speak, he whispered, and suddenly it felt as if the world had disappeared. It was just us, trapped in this shadowy hallway, with everything suspended between us. The tension stretched taut as a bowstring. Excitement coursed through me as my heart raced, his thumb caressing my arm, his body tantalizing close, yet just beyond reach. Every instinct screamed at me to end this, to break through the silence, to create distance between us. Yet something deeper within me, tired of perpetual caution and yearning for adventure, whispered that perhaps surrender was the answer. Melissa, he breathed, his voice so near that I felt the vibration in my very core. Looking up at him, I found myself caught in a suspended moment, teetering on the edge of something profound that I wasn't ready to acknowledge. His face hovered mere inches from mine, his eyes searching, silently posing a question that hung between us, electric and undeniable. Just as I anticipated his next move, just as the boundaries between right and wrong began to blur, he withdrew. The enchantment dissolved instantly. He raked his fingers through his hair, visibly as affected as I was. When he tried to speak, his words came out fragmented. I shouldn't have pushed things this far." His voice carried remorse, yet the air remained charged. The tension persisted, heavy and palpable, challenging either of us to make the next move. "I'm sorry," I murmured, unsure whether I was apologizing to him, myself, or my husband waiting at home. "This wasn't my intention." He hesitated again, clearly struggling to find appropriate words. "Please, I don't want to make your life more complicated. Just focus on the rent situation, okay?" I nodded and stepped backward. My mind was in complete disarray, heart pounding, thoughts scattered in every direction. I desperately needed solitude. I required time to process everything. "Thank you," I whispered, my voice barely audible. He acknowledged with a nod, and we remained frozen, suspended in what could have been. Then, as quickly as the moment had materialized, he turned and departed. I closed the door behind him, leaning against it as adrenaline continued coursing through my body. The thoughts wouldn't cease. Had it ended? Or was this merely the beginning? The subsequent days felt like an eternity, each one stretching longer than its predecessor. That near-miss moment replayed constantly in my mind. Every hallway encounter, every glimpse of him in the yard, created an electric atmosphere between us, charged with unspoken tension we both pretended to ignore. I needed to confront this head-on. Shouldn't relief be flooding through me? He'd stepped back. He'd apologized. Everything should have reverted to normal. But it hadn't. The way he'd looked at me remained seared in my memory, as if he'd glimpsed something essential within me, something that made him pause, yet couldn't completely release. At night, as I lay trying to find sleep, his footsteps seemed to echo through the hallway, haunting my thoughts. Though I knew it was merely my mind playing tricks, I understood I couldn't avoid confronting him forever. Then one night, his message appeared on my screen, unexpected and jarring. His words cut straight to the chase. "We need to talk." "Of course. Let me explain something clearly." Initially, I contemplated dismissing it entirely. I thought about downplaying it as nothing more than a simple misunderstanding, something I could blame on a momentary lapse in judgment. But truthfully, I wasn't sure anymore. The boundaries had become blurred. My emotions were in turmoil. Yet one thing remained crystal clear. I needed to understand what was unfolding. I agreed to meet him in the building's courtyard. He said it would be more private there. The evening air was mild, and I found the courtyard deserted upon my arrival. I saw him standing by the bench. His back turned to me. He seemed different somehow. His stance was unnaturally stiff. His hands were thrust deep in his pockets. Gathering my courage with a deep breath, I moved forward to face him. "Melissa," he called out without turning around. "I never meant to make you uncomfortable." "I know," I replied, my voice unsteady as I moved closer. "I'm not sure what happened between us. I can't believe I allowed this situation to escalate." He turned to face me, and for a moment we were enveloped in silence. Our eyes met, carrying an unspoken understanding in the quiet that surrounded us. "I shouldn't have pushed those boundaries," he confessed, his voice rough. "I need to be honest with you. I've been struggling with something." I raised my eyebrow. "What are we dealing with?" He stepped closer, reducing the space between us until I could feel his presence surrounding me. I've been struggling with my feelings for you. Though I'd anticipated these words, they still hit me like a physical force. Hearing him voice it, acknowledge it, made my heart thunder. My emotions are in disorder. I don't want to make things difficult for you, he continued, but his tone had changed. It held no remorse. It carried a note of desperation. I want to preserve everything we've built, but I can't stop thinking about you. I struggled to breathe. My legs felt weak as he moved closer. I knew I needed to step away. I knew I had to tell him this was inappropriate, that we couldn't pursue this. But when his hand gently touched my arm, I found myself unable to move away. I don't want to cause you pain, he whispered softly. I find myself paralyzed, unable to break free from this moment. The atmosphere around us feels suffocating. My pulse thunders in my ears, drowning out rational thought. For a fleeting instant, I lose sight of where boundaries should exist. Everything seems to teeter on the precipice of disorder, threatening to spiral beyond my grasp. Words of protest pass away in my throat, locked away in the depths of my conscience. I'm married, I managed to whisper, desperately hoping the declaration would restore order to this madness. His response comes swiftly. I understand that, but these feelings won't subside. Melissa, tell me honestly, do you feel this too? His words hang heavily in the space between us. In this crucial moment, I feel like I'm standing at the edge of a precipice, staring down into an endless void. The choice is mine, yet I feel powerless to make it. Honestly, I'm at a loss for words, I confess, the admission tumbling out unbidden. I know, he says softly. I don't expect an immediate answer, but I need to know if there's something mutual here. Would you consider taking this leap with me? His gaze pierces mine with an intensity that sends simultaneous waves of anxiety and excitement coursing through me. My heart pounds against my ribcage, my breathing becoming erratic and shallow. I can't deny it anymore. Something has been building inside me since that fateful night he appeared at my doorstep. I know I shouldn't let this continue, yet I can't help but wonder. The thought sneaks in uninvited. What if I embraced this feeling? What would it be like to feel truly desired again? To have someone fulfill this emptiness that's been consuming me for endless months? His hand finds my cheek once more, his thumb tracing gentle patterns on my skin. The contact sends electric currents through my body, igniting something primal within me. My breath catches, and for one brief moment, everything else fades away. The consequences, the choices, the people affected. I stand on the precipice of a life-altering decision. Just as his face draws closer and my eyes flutter shut, footsteps echo through the courtyard, shattering our moment. I freeze, my heart threatening to burst. The footsteps grow louder, more urgent, and I jerk away, terror flooding my eyes. It's him. My husband. I whirl around, struggling to catch my breath as he appears around the corner, his features hardened into an unreadable mask, his eyes filled with an emotion I dare not name. Melissa, he says, his voice cutting through the air like ice. I thought I explicitly asked you to remain indoors. In that heart-stopping moment, as my thoughts raced chaotically through my mind, I realized we stood at the precipice of an irreversible change. Had we already ventured too far? Was redemption still within reach? My eyes darted between Mr. Harris, the man with whom I'd nearly crossed an unforgivable boundary, and my husband, who stood mere steps away, his presence a stark reminder of my vows. My heart hammered against my chest as the weight of reality crashed down. There's no rewinding time now. If you want to experience more compelling and genuine narratives like this one, make sure to subscribe to Inquisco's channel.